Catherine, are you good?
Yes.
Okay, very good. I see that we have a quorum at 6:30. I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. Are there any additions, deletions, corrections to the agenda? I have one. I would like to add to the agenda, topic discussing Girl Scout Troop 24514. The cadets would like to, start a project pertaining to our QR codes downtown. So let's put that under, I hate to put it under new business unless we move up the Andrew's house topic. I don't know, let's put it under new business. That'll work. All right, is there a motion regarding the amended agenda?
Motion to approve the amended agenda.
Thank you, is there a second?
Second?
Thank you, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, very good. Okay, the minutes, everyone have an opportunity to read the minutes. Any additions, deletions, corrections to the minutes? I have one tiny one. We need to spell polls correctly, P-O-L-E-S, on page 2. Pertaining to the Barton Cemetery, P-O-L-E-S, not political, P-O-L-L-S. That would be it. Is there a motion regarding the amended minutes?
Second to amend the minutes.
Thank you. Is there a second? John chimed in. Robert, my bad. I didn't want to call you John. Robert, my bad.
Madam Chair, who made the motion? I don't know the name.
Valentina.
Thank you.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Very good. Okay, communications and announcements. That'd be you, Jay. Anything? John? Oh, John.
Good evening.
Are you communications and announcements tonight?
Not tonight. We don't have anything to discuss.
Okay, very good. There's nothing under old business, and I added, under new business, Girl Scout Troop 24514. The cadets, noticed that the sign in front of the Magnuson House is faded, and the QR code is unlegible, whatever you wanna call it, not readable, illegible. So this is a topic that we brought up previously. Where are the QR codes and the stanchions for the downtown that were removed during construction, and we were told were going to be replaced once construction was complete? So I guess that would be on your to-do plate, Jay, is where are the QR codes, and what can we do to work with the Girl Scouts? I mean, I'm willing to do it. I'm not putting a pile on your plate. To get those QR codes back up and get new, brighter ones that can be read under some kind of a cover so that they last longer this time. So, Jay, if you could please put that on our to-do pile?
Sure. I definitely had that same questions from one of our residents for a while back about the signage has been faded and worn out. Actually reach out to Public Works director, and I will follow with them. We need some sort of communication about the Magnuson House signage, but I will follow with the Public Works director.
Yes,
They're the one that maintains it.
Good, that'd be good. Because the cadets have noticed apparently the sign that says Magnuson House or something, there's a QR code on it. And that's not readable, so
Understood.
that would be good. So we'll be in touch?
Yeah. I'll be in touch with the Public Works director, and hopefully next meeting we will update you. Because they have to go through they have to see what's the condition of a signage, and then it will take some time to correct it or fix it or renovate the signage.
Okay.
So.
And if we can figure out a way that the cadets can participate somehow,
You
because
mean
they're working on a badge.
You mean the Girl Scouts team?
Yeah,
You're saying? I have to still speak with the Public Works director if the third part. I understand that what you're saying is participation by the general public, but that's something again the Public Works director has to go through the motions, I believe.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I will stay on top of you.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
What's the deadline for the Girl Scouts to do their, what's the deadline for
wanted to toss that out there because we brought this up before. Where are the QR codes and the stanchions for all the things? And there was even a GPS where if you stood in a certain spot and you used your telephone, that you could just do something on your telephone, GPS too. I mean, to have a map for all of these things, probably would be helpful. So, okay. Anybody else want to say anything about the project? Are you in support? Is there consensus that we can work with the Girl Scouts? Okay, great, thank you. All right, that brings us to other. Relocation of the Andrews House. I understand we have a PowerPoint presentation tonight.
Yes, we have Assistant Public Works Director here, Richard. I don't want to pronounce the last name incorrectly, so let him introduce himself.
Welcome, Richard.
Morning, good afternoon, evening, actually. So, yes, my name is Richard Hoffer. I'm Assistant Director of Public Works.
You can just.
Presentation up here, right? The presentation I'll be giving this evening is actually the same one that was given at the last.
Microphone.
Yeah, the presentation I'm giving is actually the same presentation that was given at the last commission meeting, city commission meeting. Just,
Kind of sort of the same. It's missing 2 locations, right? That one had 5. at City Commission.
Yes, we did revise it to take out a couple of the locations, that's correct. Thank you for advising me of that. That was done. Okay. Start the presentation. It's going to be in presentation mode.
Yeah,
So that's it right there.
this is a PDF, so we don't.
Okay.
Go on that, above the plus, the zoom in out, there's like a little page
Of the Zoom
on the,
out.
yeah, right there, and then it should be able to full screen mode at the bottom,
Do you?
and then that will make it presentation.
Oh, thank you.
Next.
Next one. Okay.
Okay, so this is a presentation on potential relocation sites for the Andrews House. Prior slide if you could. The Andrews House is located at 306 Southeast First Avenue. Potential relocation sites for the house for preservation purposes have been assessed. Originally, we looked at 5 locations. It's been pared down to 3 locations for this presentation. As for the 3 potential locations as shown on this slide here, we'll go into detailed looks at each of these locations.
Do you want me to scroll through them?
Yes, for potential, for this potential location 1, it's on Furry Friends Park is what it's called. So this was one of the original 5 that we looked at last presentation. Looking at it closer, it gives a close-up view of the site. There is a large tree there. There are some setback requirements as well. Street view, so everybody can see pretty much what it looks like from the street. There is a lot of open land there, so it's a very sizable site for the house potentially. We got some zoning information as well on that. I don't know if I can get to my proper notes here. Go to the next slide. This is well, the prior one, if you could. This is the Andrews House transposed onto the site relatively to scale, just showing how it would lay out on the site potentially, so you can adjust it during any site plan stage. Definitely would be hashed out
us to ask our questions now or hold all of our questions until you finish?
It would be, I'd be okay with asking it as we go.
Okay. I have a question,
Mm-hmm.
and I will, everybody else can jump in a minute. Is this a passive neighborhood park for that neighborhood?
As far as the zoning for this?
I can add, yes, correct. This is a passive park. There's not really any activities kind of elements into the park. It's just trees and the pathways.
What kind of furry friends does it contain? Do we know?
What do you mean for?
That's the name of the park, Furry Friends Park.
I'm not sure on that one.
No, it's just the name of the park.
Okay, that was my big question. Anybody else have questions for Richard at this point? Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I did have just one question, and maybe we do this at the end, but for the Google Street View, I was really just showing, where we're putting it. Is there any way to go on Google Street View and see what is across the street from it? I know what the park looks like.
It's across from the apartment complexes, but if you want, we can go access Google Earth to look at the street views if you want.
If you go up a few slides, you can see at least an aerial view.
Oh, there it is.
Doesn't really show a lot of the adjacents, but there are apartments to the east. And it looks like it's
North
pretty.
too. So that's the north is 6th Court is actually to the apartment complex.
Gotcha. And then south, it looks, I think it looks industrial, right? Like business.
Commercial. The commercial retails along the Federal Highway, and then the cross from the park. That's I believe a 2-story apartment complex as well.
So this was to get moved here to be a residential zoning?
Yes.
Is there a particular reason why we picked this location?
It is CRA, city-owned. So the criteria was to look at city and CRA-owned lots. This is a city-owned lot. It was felt by some that it would be, if this was say a welcome center or a ranger station or something, it would fit well within that kind of open space.
Well, it's pretty far from downtown to be a welcome center. I would think a welcome center would be more closer to a downtown area.
Yes, that was talked about in the last meeting. That would be more ideal. We'll talk a little bit about the downtown location based on some things that we discussed with the fire department as far as codes and separation requirements and things like that.
And you said it was zoned, that park is zoned what, residential or commercial?
I believe it's R2 actually. Let's see. Shay, do you have
It's actually zoned as CBD.
CBD, that's right, correct. Thank you. Thanks for the clarification.
Okay, thank you.
It's a central business district.
So then it's commercial instead of residential?
Correct. The park is in the commercial zoning district.
Okay, any more questions about potential position number 1? Okay.
Okay, as far as this potential location too, this is been talked about a lot as far as this location. It is in the on Ocean. Is beside the Magnolia's house. Saying that wrong.
Magnus.
Magnuson House, yes, correct, thank you. As far as this, in finding this is a CRA-owned lot, it is, the lot does, if you look over to the right-hand side, you'll see the delineation of the site in green. So this would involve putting a second house, a second structure on this site. And there are some, just the other day, we did get some information from the fire and building code information on what some of the requirements would be. structures. They are both wooden structures. There is a requirement at a minimum to be 20 feet apart. We have some subsequent slides that still show it as, we got this late Friday, as showing it at about 10 feet apart. They have to be at least 20 feet apart according to building and fire marshal. Might have to upgrade the walls too, to increase the fire rating of the walls is what feedback we're getting on that. So there are some complications with that, further complications with that site due to this, finding out this. So I want to just make everybody aware of that.
Any
So
questions?
it's already off the, less than 10 feet. If there was 20 feet in between, it's probably beyond the property line to the east is the situation. So it wouldn't fit within the existing property, so that's a complication. There's a street right away that's beside it that's currently like a sidewalk, but that's the boundary, that's still a right of way. That's city property basically, but it's a right of way for a road, hasn't been, I think it's still an active one.
Richard, if, excuse me, if that little walkway were removed, would there be enough room between the two homes? If it was moved over a little bit and the right-of-way was expanded?
It seems like that's a possibility. I personally have not looked into that. I haven't taken that next step. The revelation about the separation just came, just the clarity on that came on Friday as we continue to look into this. We're continuing to look into things. We had another meeting today that, this was discussed as well as continuing to reach out to different departments, different entities to get better clarity. But haven't crossed that bridge yet. I've heard that thrown around as a possibility. So I don't know that it's out of the question.
And what's the zoning there, please?
The zoning here is R3, yes.
It looks like it allows non-residential uses and residential uses, so commercial is possible here.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different ones that might be possible here. And if you look at the planning and zoning website, there's a whole list of items. Definitely multifamily is one, but businesses, commercial, there's a whole list of things that are possibilities here.
And I did just, if there is complications with this site, why is it a potential location? If you're saying that this one seems like it's already being crossed off, if you're saying there's complications on here.
Sure. This presentation was put together kind of late last week or middle of the week or so, and we found out more information on late Friday, so the presentation has been updated. So that's what I'm trying to express is this is what we call a potential location 2. There were complications or difficulties or challenges with the site as of my last presentation, but we found it out even more. So it's even more challenging than I've presented to the commission.
Are these difficulties something that the commission can do variances for?
We are going to discuss this in tomorrow's CRA commission meeting. So this is exactly what's going to be discussed is this topic, of the 3 remaining sites that we're looking at. So
Can
we're
you
gonna
give us a
discuss-
ballpark of what those variances would need to be?
The variances, I don't know that there's a possibility to get them any closer together. The variance, I don't know if it would be termed a variance, if there was some sort of, use of
staff will have a further discussions, but variance might not be the great options because of the 20 feet distance requirement is really pertaining to life safety concerns. Because it's really truly because of both of the marble structure and it's in for the building code. So I don't, again, the staff and the city commission will have a further discussions, but the reason Magnuson House was one of options to discuss because there were a lot of supporting opinions to explore the possibility locating next to the Magnuson House. But that's the time before we had discussion with the building official as well as fire marshal. But we got emails on this morning literally that found that might be not feasible because of the distance requirements for the life safety concerns.
Well, I see here it's proposed next to the existing house. What if it's pushed back towards the rear a little bit, and that gives it a little bit of a courtyard in front of it?
Yes, that's again, that's what we are exploring still stage, but that's why Richard is here to present, and this is happening, this is discussing, and this is a more FYI presentations. So staff has to evaluate the feasibility, which could include the condition of the sites, as well as the current building and fire requirements and the costs that affect it as well. This is really more like an informational presentation. I think that will have a further more discussion with State Commission at the CRA meeting tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. And what are these costs that that would concern you? This is the closest move. So this would seem to logically be the least costly move.
Well, as far as if there's other requirements because of the structures being 20 feet apart, there could be added costs due to having to increase the fire rating of the walls. Not totally clear on that yet. We got a big dissertation from the building department on that, and need to really follow up with the building department to
I'd like to see that report. Is that report available to the public, please?
I don't know the protocols for that, just to be frank. I would think it would be, it should be. I know there's a department to go through and all that sort of thing. I believe.
Well,
I've been with the city for 3 months, so I don't know all protocols.
So-
but that's why I was saying, I think moving it towards the rear would actually get rid of that 20 feet distance from wall to wall. So it looks like there's a little I don't know, that's part of your courtyard back there, so it looks like even. And that should be able to not have to deal with that 20 feet distance from house to house, if it's just pushed to the rear.
We could get a
I know
determination.
I know there's setbacks, but I mean, if you can't put it less than 20 feet closer, I'm sure we can get a variance for the setbacks. I'm sure that.
Again, we will definitely explore these options. Obviously, we need get a full survey to see if there is any easements aligning with these perimeters, because backside of this Magnuson House property is an alley. So there's other options that we have to, again, this is really study stage for the city staff to explore. We will definitely provide you more updates.
Can I ask a question? I don't know.
Sure, gotcha.
What is this lot on the other side?
On the west side?
Yeah, 209.
It's privately owned. I heard some doctor owns it. Definitely, I could bring it up, but it's privately owned. Is the short answer.
But does the city ever consider reaching out to maybe this doctor to see if he wants that, the Andrew house maybe potentially on his lot?
It could be,
I've seen it.
We explored, what I've heard about, the owner is they've got plans for it, but, and I think the city might have approached, the owner some time ago and asked about, whether the owner wanted to sell. Doesn't mean that things have changed since,
Well,
and that's what I've heard.
yeah, no, I've just seen it, in other municipalities where the lot isn't sold, they are just okay with having a historic house on their lot and, instead of them building a new house, basically.
Yeah, I don't know if we've got the zoning on that too, but, it's probably CBP as well, possibly, so it could be a possibility, we haven't explored that. The property in this area has a pretty high valuation as well, right?
Yes, so we had CRA has been explore potential developments with the Magnuson House. So we had application one time, but because of the size of the property and because of the accessibility, it's not required. It takes the I'm not saying this is difficult to develop, but definitely it wasn't that easy to explode it, utilize Magnuson House and also come up with a different use. There was a one time restaurant wanted to be located here, but they had a quite challenge because of the amount of the requirements to update the Magnuson House to be utilized, but definitely city staff is more exploring what could be the best location for the Andrews House new location. So we will definitely update you in the next meeting, or I'm pretty sure there will be more further discussions in the city commission meetings.
That's residential three.
It is, yes, the corner lot there, yes, that's R3.
You can't build an office there.
Anybody has questions on position number 2? Okay.
Okay, as far as potential location 3 goes, and go to the, this is the, just the previous one again would be good. So it's a close-up of potential location 3. It's on Secret Crest is the location. Let's say CRA owned lot. Just says information. Go to the next slide.
And we swap lots.
Just a close-up of it. We go to the next one. Yeah, so that was a street view of it. The prior one was a street view. It's a pretty wide lot, and if you look at the next slide, you can see, just basically put it in the middle of the lot, just for to be seen that it definitely fits on it. It's not an issue. Any questions, comments about that one? I know there was a lot of discussion at last commission meeting about, this site as well as the other 2 that we're not showing now, because of locations and, being away from, kind of the core of things. But it was thought to keep this one on here for conversation purposes. Are there any questions or comments about this site? It's probably not the preferred one.
The zoning.
Zoning is, I believe it's also R3.
R2.
Sorry, R2, yes. Okay.
Are to permitted for duplex.
Mhm. Okay.
There's a road.
And Richard, this is just a block north of Wheat Beach Boulevard.
No.
It's a few.
1, 2, 3, 4,
few.
5 blocks.
No, it's right behind the 7-Eleven on the corner.
Oh, yeah, I see the pawn shop. Okay.
this location was just left down for discussion?
Yes, there's still, some talking within the city about this site as being, in, the city's opinion to be, still a potential one that should be looked at, possibly for a business.
And the use would be someone living in it?
Could be residential, could be, rezoned for business possibly, but yes, residential would be what would be targeted.
I don't see how that economically benefits the city in any way.
Yep. So, but, it was left on to, for discussion purposes, and, we've heard that in the last meeting about economic benefit to the city, so, but it was, I was asked to put it in my presentation. I'm keeping it up there. We're gonna be talking to CRA, and internally to the city, tomorrow, in the commission meeting. It's called at 6 o'clock, so we're, gonna continue, discussing this.
Okay, good. Good. Anybody else, questions for Richard?
I'm just curious, I'm not, this is new to me, bear with me. I'm just curious, why are we moving it?
We,
Go ahead.
what
It's in a great location now.
Yeah, it's for preservation purposes. I think I know the details, but there's a developer that owns that lot along with, adjacent lots that are just, north of that. And, it's, their lot, it's their, they're doing a development there, and they want it moved in order to, do the development. It needs to be moved in order to develop the land. There is an open demolition permit, I believe, as well. So the idea is try to move it and preserve it.
More questions for Richard?
Yeah, I was just wondering about the last slide about the relocation cost. Is this a summary for just one potential location, or is it all of them, since we were talking about, the least costly move on?
Yes, we reached out to a company that moves houses. They gave us some budget pricing, knowing the proximity of the different sites we were looking at, and gave us a pricing just for moving the house of what's shown on the slide there, $75,000 to $150,000. So that's just to move it. The second line item is the foundation and utilities, which is pretty much the same regardless of where it would be moved. So there's got to be, site plan done for approval, showing setbacks and all those sort of things for planning and zoning approval, I believe. Then would have to go out for design services to do a site civil design for the utilities and the site itself, the structure, including foundation design, get a building permit, and then put it out for construction to construct the foundation, utilities, any site improvements, as well as then to move the house. So our budget that's shown there is $225K. Actually, at a rough order of magnitude stage of costing a project or budgeting a project, basically the Project Management Institute and other sources for budgeting recommend a 75% contingency, or 75 plus 75% minus 25% range from that 225K. So, numbers that we might be seeing for this might reflect in future presentations and future discussions might be more in $290,000 range, $390,000 range.
questions? We missed his presentation, but that's okay. All right, thank you very much, Richard, for coming tonight.
Okay.
Appreciate you taking the time,
Sure, thank
and
you.
welcome to the city.
Thank you, appreciate it. That'd be great.
Okay. I personally would like to hear from the public before we make any of our discussions and make any decisions or motions or consensus. Anybody have a problem with hearing from the public?
Not at all.
Okay, who's the first willing victim? It's Susan.
Yeah. Susan Hoyer, Boynton Beach. I've sat on this board for years. I sat on Arts Board, P&D Board, you know, a lot of boards, so I have a good background on this. So I'm gonna address all three locations, but I'll do 1 and 3, then you can hit number 2. So number 1, it's currently a passive park. It's zoned CBD. I take issue with the zoning options of a call center. I work part-time in one. You're looking at several hundred people plus, you know, assorted parking, so that's not realistic, and that really should be taken out of that option. This is a neighborhood park. Y'all are foolish to even consider that, because those people are gonna rise up and they're gonna scream and they're gonna bring pitchforks at you people, and I'm gonna enjoy every moment of it, especially when they chase down Amanda. Looking at option number 3, is R2. So R2 is specifically residential only, and while I think this is, and I'm gonna tell you I'm all for option 2,
Excuse me,
but-
Susan? No, here, is the microphone on? It's not coming from here.
really, yes, it looks like it is.
Okay, let me turn it on again. I'm sorry, Catherine. Yeah, no problem. Sorry about that. I thought I talked loud enough too anyways. So, this is, you know, I think this is a decent site, and I think you guys are foolish for not pushing this harder, but I do think option 2 is our best possible choice. I have property over near here. The one thing that you guys aren't talking about is when I sat on P&D board, all of Seacrest is going commercial sooner than later. And, so I think the impact on this is not what you want it to be, with heavy traffic that will get worse as you're pounding and building commercial buildings, next door, and the damage that could possibly do. So while I think this is great, because there's plenty of room for parking and building parks or whatever around it, in the long run, I don't think this is going to hold up well, just because of the projected plans for Seacrest. So looking at site number 2, first of all, how you guys would ever think a restaurant should go in a historic building? This is the foolish problem you guys have repeatedly with the Magnuson House, and I'm not venting my anger at you guys, but the city is stupid. You do not put a restaurant in a historic building and do all that kind of remodeling and the grease traps and all the stuff you have to do, plus all the fire codes, plus the wear and tear. You don't do that on a 100-year-old building. I own a 99-year-old house, 2 of them. You don't dare do that. You need to have the least intensive use possible on a building of this age, so that you can maintain it, not destroy it. And I just, you guys just need to actually take that out and stop doing that foolishness on here. That's Amanda's thing that she does just to convince the commission that they need to put restaurants in, and we don't need restaurants, at least not there. So you're talking about increasing the walls for fire ratings. You're talking about, you know, the location. First of all, you haven't talked at all, and this poor man I feel sorry for, because you guys threw him to the lion's den, and he's new and he doesn't deserve this. But this house should be rotated. You guys the city gives variances for every freaking thing you can imagine. I sat on P&D board and have sat in so many commission meetings, more than everybody else combined except possibly Barb. And I'm sorry. And I just don't see how you guys don't think you're going to do a variances for this, because we all know you are. So you're going to get rid of that walkway alley to the side, or you're certainly going to narrow it. You're going to get rid of the alley to the back, and you're going to rotate this house so that it gives you the 20-foot minimum that the fire department wants. And yay, go fire department, they're looking at this rationally, and let's do what we need to do. But the reality is there's plenty of space. Amanda's just making this look like it won't fit to give everybody a reason not to vote for it. So let's just put out exactly what the problem is. So you do need to do the variances. You do need to take away the 2 alleys, or
narrow them, you do need to rotate this, and, that report, this poor man was speaking about, what report is that? Cause I wanna do a public records request. What's the name of that report?
That is just an email of I don't know if you want to explain it.
Do tell.
You talk about the
Just the email, yeah.
emails from the fire marshal and then the building official about the requirements of the building.
Okay, that should be easy to get. So the fire marshal and the fire chief, or the building, what's the official?
Building official.
Building official. Okay, I'll order that tonight while I'm sitting here listening to the rest of you. Yeah, so that'll give me something to do. So, I think we need to be looking at option 2 only. I think this board, having sat on this board for years, back before Barb was even chair, and she was just a member, because she's been chair for 10 years now? So, yeah, we were all on the board together. I really think we need to be pushing this. I think option 2 is the logical choice. I think we should be doing what Delray has done and other cities have done, and it's the logical option, and that is build an area of historic buildings that you can use for light intensive use retail. For example, we should be looking, the city was supposed to put a cafe in this building, and it never happened, it fell apart. And that totally falls on CRA, because I know exactly where that happened. And we need to be looking at a place that could do something like drinks, or ice creams, or gourmet sandwiches, or pastries. And it's not your primary store, restaurant, it is the one that you bring in from your other restaurant. So for example, you could have, maybe this cafe and they source their ice cream from Boardwalk. Boardwalk would, I'm sure, love to have a second office, a second space. You could be doing one of the local bakeries like Aloha, or somebody who does, the gourmet French baked goods. Have them bring their items in, whether you do it on a concession or as an owner who buys from our other local sources, which would support other local businesses and give them a reason to care about downtown. Or, you have a vendor who makes off-site and brings in every day. You could be doing gourmet sandwiches or subs. You can be doing a variety of drink options, because we all know it's 100+ degrees all day, every day for, 5 months out of the year. You have all these kids down here for all these museums. Let's give everybody something to eat, because as it comes up in the city commission regularly, if you get people here for 4 hours, you have locked in an 80% increase on the amount of money they're gonna spend. So that's the secret to Disney, you lock them in. Oh, I'm sorry, you weren't timing me, so I decided I could talk longer, because the clock's not going. Thank you. But definitely look at these as options, and then maybe that's something this board can go ahead and recommend as well, because you're allowed to do that. Don't let them tell you you can't, you're allowed to make a recommendation. Thank you, and yes, that newspaper was from me, I provided it.
Thank you, Susan. Anybody else?
Mike Fitzpatrick, 175 Southwest 2nd Street. First of all, I'd like to say this meeting is a positive sign that the commission and staff are taking the possibilities of moving the Andrews House, historic Andrews House. So can we ask questions of staff?
I don't know. Jay, you wanna answer questions?
We'll do our best.
Okay. So, look, I read the minutes November 12th of this board, and what I didn't see was any notification that on October 21st, the demolition permit was applied for, and then on November 8th, the notice of commitment was issued. So I'm curious as to why you didn't inform this board that this was going on, and that's why we are in this emergency situation, trying to play catch-up.
I'm not sure what is this house is actually, to be honest with you, staff doesn't have to My understanding, staff does not talk to the speakers. It is the all questions that has to be addressed through the board. But if you have questions, we can share our emails and feel free to email us and we will address through the emails.
So so you can't tell me why you did not include this on last month's agenda, the November 12th agenda?
I'm not, so I am not fully understand the timelines. When was approved, when was the demolition was approved, I will not know those timelines, so I don't think I know enough to speak about it.
Well, if you read past minutes, my understanding, this Andrews House came up continually over the last 2 years. So this was a concern of this board. And when it was being demolitioned, the city was doing it very quietly and not informing the board. And I was just wondering, is it part of your duty to inform this board that this was happening?
Does the chairperson, do we need to respond this? My understanding, these questions, again, this is a question that has to go through the board. If you want the answers, please, we can take a note and we can take your emails and phone numbers and then we will send you follow-up emails and we will correspond accordingly.
Okay.
Because not knowing enough about the permits, the dead timelines, and not knowing enough the questions directly, I don't think I can speak up because I don't want to deliver incorrect information. So we are at the end of a.
Well, okay, how about one question you might be able to answer? When did you know this was going to be demolition?
I did not know.
Okay.
We have 6 planners, including director. We have 6 people to reviewing the permit. This permit again, we have to know what the timeline is based on the permits, when it's submitted, when it was reviewed, when was it discussed the board, and I have to look at those dates in order to answer those questions. So we will take your email and phone number and we'll be in touch with you.
Okay. So this is my concern, that the city, by having the selection and presentation, is basically the fox guarding the hen house, because it has been the emphasis of the city to get this. It seems like it wants the city wants Andrews House bulldozed. And now it says, oh, we're trying to move it. So some of us are very skeptical. And the way the presentation seems to be presented, it's letting the city commission kind of run its course and then kill it with a death of 1,000 cuts. For instance, as pointed out, this 20-foot limit. Well, the city's being intentionally obtuse. As pointed out by Valentina, you could move it back, and then you would have your 20 feet. Or you could rotate it, because it is 42 feet the way they have it orientated, any other way, 90 degrees, with the door facing east, and actually that could be quite pleasant opening up on that sidewalk. It is only 32 feet. So there's 20 feet in between if you rotate it. There's 20 feet in between if you move it back. So the city is picking the worst case scenario to get rid of Site 2.
Mike, excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt. Could you repeat that? Did you say if the building was rotated, there'd be 32 feet from?
Oh, the dimensions of the building is 32 feet
Okay.
by 40. I made a 8-page packet for a report for the city commission, and some of you would like to, oh, actually it's 16 pages, it got bigger. So if some of you would like to give me your email address, or I can give them a bar or something, I'll send it out tonight. So it's a PDF, so you can see a different point of view. So, well, that's basically it. Why should we trust the city staff on this, is my question. They have not been forthright the whole time for the last 2 years on dealing with the Andrews House. So, we'll see. I'm in favor of site 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Good evening. My name is Tom Warnke, and I think what you have on your agenda this evening with the Andrews House is a feel-good project. This is the oldest house in Boynton Beach. It's in excellent condition. I don't know, have any of you been inside the house, or have any of you seen the photos of the interior? Well, it's pretty impressive. I know because my father helped supervise the renovation of the Andrews House 20 years ago. And they took all the wood down to the exterior and the interior, down to the bare wood. And it's Dade County pine. You can't get it anymore. You can't even drive a nail into it. You have to drill it first. The termites won't eat it. And it doesn't rot in the water. So Dade County pine is pretty special, and this house is a treasure in Boynton Beach. The pictures that you see of it on the presentation, or that one photo, it's boarded up. When you open those windows and the sunroom that's on the east side, which could be it's a 14 by 14 beautiful meeting room. So I just wanted to start out by saying it's a treasure. The City Commission and the CRA are both unanimous in wanting to move it, to save it. The development that's going to go in where it is now is huge, and it's going to really help revitalize Boynton Beach downtown, and those people that live in those hundreds and hundreds of units are going to be able to walk up Ocean Avenue and enjoy, if they have a child with them, they can go into the Children's Schoolhouse Museum. But of course you have to have a child with you. So Boynton really doesn't have a museum for adults. So my name's Tom Warnke, and in November we formed a citizen committee to save the Andrews House. I happened to be the one driving by, and I saw the demolition equipment, and it's near and dear to my house because I watched it being renovated and opened as a museum 20 years ago. Do you have a question? I'm sorry.
That's what I was gonna say. At one time, it was a museum.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. The Pirate Fest had an event there with Harvey Aryer there, and so it's got some history, but it sits off of Ocean Avenue. And Site 2 would move it onto Ocean Avenue. I've got these written, so it won't take me long, but I keep getting off track here because I'm excited about saving this house. I'm the vice chair of the committee, and I'm a life member of the Boynton Beach Historical Society. I'm a second generation Boynton Beach historian. My family moved here in 1956 when I was 8 years old. My father was mayor here in the 1980s. I work at the Delray Beach Historical Society. My office is in a home that was moved a mile onto the Historical Society property. And it's made of Dade County pine. It's 1909, 1 year newer than the Andrews House. I mentioned we have unanimous agreement among city commissioners and the CRA to move the Andrews House. So I have three asks of this board that I hope somebody makes a motion and forwards to the city commission. The first ask is that you recommend to the city commission to make immediate arrangements to have ownership of the house go to the CRA or the city. They're going to start that process, but with you also recommending it, that would help. Also, commit that the house be moved to Ocean Avenue next to the Magnuson House. I'm the one that suggested at our last committee meeting, all you have to do is rotate it 90 degrees. The sunroom would face Ocean Avenue, the front door of the house would be off the public walkway, and with signage there, it would be, I think, an excellent way. Or you could move it a little bit east and get part of that easement, and move it back a little bit, and that might take care of it also. And the office that I'm in is the Hunt House, and it's only about 12 feet from another wooden house that was moved to that same property. So the Delray Beach Fire Marshal doesn't have any problem at all with those two homes being very tight together. And last year, the city of Delray Beach paid for a wooden tool shed. They paid $20,000 for a wooden tool shed with a new slab, and that's in between the two properties. So now they're almost touching, and they're all wood. So with a variance and with the proper maintenance by the city, those types of things can be taken care of. So the second recommendation is that you use Site 2. The third recommendation is that you recommend that it be repurposed for public use, not residential, not some city offices. Public use so the public can go in and experience it. And the walls could all be decorated with Boynton Beach history. It's important to do that because Boynton doesn't have a place where people can go to see the history of the city. That's what I work on in Delray. Although my heart's in Boynton, I've got the job at the Historical Society in Delray working in the archive. So you know my father helped supervise the renovation of the house, and it was opened as a museum. At last week's commission meeting, the staff used an example during their presentation of a historic building in Pompano Beach. Somehow they didn't know what was going on in Delray. Not only were the two homes on our campus moved from Federal Highway to save them from demolition, but the railroad station in Delray was moved twice by the CRA in the city onto its location now. It's owned by the Historical Society, and it sits on, actually it's on private property now, Ocean City, right by Atlantic Avenue there. So the repurposed public use that are now economic drivers for downtown Delray. We have thousands of people come to special events on our 1-acre campus. There's there's 3 buildings there, not much of a setback at all. The city funds the Delray Beach Historical Society to maintain these 3 buildings that are on city property owned by the Historical Society. And that funding is the majority of our $350,000 budget. $100,000 from the CRA, $100,000 from the city of Delray Beach every year in order to have this economic driver right a block off Atlantic Avenue, right across from Dada, which is a restaurant that was repurposed, and we helped them provide the history of that and did a special event there. So when I say thousands of people come to our campus in Delray at the Historical Society, we have regular events there that draw 200 to 400 people. So there's caterers, there's restaurants, it's an economic driver. And with what's happening in downtown Boynton, with lots of big buildings and apartments and condos and residences that are going in, hopefully soon, because there's been some delays, but with all that infill, this Andrews House in the middle of it, people are going to love to go into it. So I'm sure it will be something that will be an attraction. I was in the high school for the Highwayman exhibit on Saturday, and right inside the front door, there's the Boynton Gala poster from 2002. And it features the Andrews House. And it's brand new paint and everything, 20 years ago now, it's faded out. But it's a beautiful portrait of the Andrews House in all its glory. 70% of people who visit Florida visit a museum. Another good reason to have some sort of a historical value incorporated with whatever type of use. Could be a gift shop, coffee shop, tea house, restaurant. No, we already had Magnuson House and how Rodney Mayo and Troy were not able to put it together, even with containers on site. Some type of reuse there where people are downtown, and the city employees could go there in the morning for coffee before they go to work. So the utilities were brought up to code 20 years ago. It's got an alarm system, it's got a new service box, plenty of amperage for a coffee shop already, all new plumbing. It's still got the clawfoot bathtubs upstairs and downstairs. It's partially furnished, so if you have a chance to look at it, it really is a gem. Thank you for giving me more than 3 minutes, and I hope you do those 3 things. Recommend that the change ownership, recommend Ocean Avenue as the location, and that it be for public use. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Anybody else? Oh, here comes Ben.
Hello, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
All right, hi, my name is Ben Lowe. I am a professional historian, professor of history at Florida Atlantic University. And so I'm very interested in historic preservation. And I've lived in the city here since 1997, and I've seen more buildings be destroyed, historic buildings, than I care to imagine. The last survey was in 1996. It's time for a new one. The Andrews House is one of the last remaining houses from that time period. We really need to save it. I do agree with what Mike said, having been on this board for a few years and having talked about the Andrews House frequently and recommendations having been made to staff. They weren't always followed up in the way in which we would have liked them to. And so I think there's a reason why there's a lack of confidence in what staff follows through on when the board discusses these things, or in that we're being kept, or that the board is being kept up to date on what the developments are. I think a lot of this can be fixed by hiring a historic planner. So I know this is outside the scope of the discussion tonight, but I think it's important to link these two. The planning division here in Boynton Beach does not have anyone designated specifically for historic planning, and I think that shows in the follow-up that comes after these board meetings are completed. So I think a historic planner would be very effective in making good use and helping of the Andrews House and in helping with the logistics of moving it and coming up with a number of ideas of how it could be used. I myself am also agree with what Susan Hoyer just said. I think it would be nice to have a coffee shop there, maybe a tea house, something like that. There would definitely be demand for it. I think we need a historic planner. We need to do a new survey. We need to think about protecting historic buildings overall in this city. It has not been given the priority that it needs to be. I support the second option, which is over next to the Magnuson House. I think we need a heritage cluster downtown where people can walk and visit. So I really do believe, from what I've heard tonight, that relocation can be accomplished. We put our minds to it. And so I strongly, very strongly urge you to recommend that, and then for staff and the city commission and everyone else involved to make it happen. And I thank you for taking this seriously and moving forward with this. Let's have transparency as much as possible, and let's get it done. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Okay, I think that's everybody. Who wants to go first? Go ahead, Victor.
Okay,
Make your mic on.
Huh?
Is it on?
Now it's on. Okay, Victor Norfus. What I was agreeing with the gentleman over there was about the museum, and I was also thinking about some type of welcome center. Because right now, I don't think we have a welcome center that's near ocean, or do we have one? At one time, it was a museum. I think I went to it when I was little, when it was boarded up after that. But we don't have anything for adults to come and be welcomed into the city, because we have a lot of events on Ocean. I don't think the only thing we have is a children's museum, and you gotta be a child to go in there. We got City Hall, but there's no welcome center, I think we mentioned that once before. If you have a historic building, if you have, some similar to what he's saying, museum about the city, about the people, videos, whatever, they can go in and interactive. It'll be more useful than a restaurant. I think, because you're just gonna grease it up and you're gonna have to remodel it, and we don't wanna do that, because that's more money. But the location, anywhere near ocean, and it's when we have our festivals, they can access it. As a welcome center, as a history, as a museum slash, whatever we can put in there, you know, that best utilizes the space. But I don't think that was mentioned until he reminded me that it was a museum. There were quite a few articles there, but they, over the years, disappeared. But we got plenty of history here that can fill that building.
Okay, thank you. Robert?
Being new on this committee, I'm very in favor of location two and keeping it downtown as close as possible to City Hall, because why do you want to put it out far away from here? To me, it doesn't serve any purpose. And I have never been to it, but I'm glad I picked up all this information.
Okay, good, super, thank you. You're up.
Of the three locations, I would have to say that I'm in favor of location number 2 as well. Location number 1 really doesn't make too much sense to me, in that the only use I could foresee is maybe for the city's use. There's been a mention of maybe for park rangers or some other city use. So the 6 or 7 blocks north on Federal, away from development, really doesn't make too much sense to me. And it's kind of sandwiched between, excuse me, commercial along Federal and residential. I don't see any public use or even commercial use going forward on that. Location number 2, I appreciate you all coming out tonight and giving some ideas on how that property can be arranged. Because we're hearing from the city, we're gonna smack the house down there, no, it can't be this close to the other one, etc. So I appreciate you all coming out and maybe giving some ideas how that could be arranged. I think it would promote downtown. We don't have too much downtown when it, if it ever gets to be developed. We have the marina, we have the Arts and Cultural Center, but I really think putting the Andrews Home next to Magnuson would be the best option. Number 3, the location number 3, from what I've heard, once the pawn shop and everything is on that intersection of Boynton and Seacrest, there's an idea of actually possibly making commercial go back 2 blocks. So I think the city's basically saying to themselves, well, gee, we have 2 locations, we've got to put out a third. I think the city has any real looking at location number 3.
Okay. Good. Valentina, you're up.
Okay, well, if I had to pick of the 3, I think number 2 is the best location. I do think that variances, there shouldn't be a problem granting variances for this, especially working and planning the zoning department previous. I also think there's enough room on this lot to push it back if we needed to the rear. I think location 2 has a lot of potential in having a commercial use, even making a courtyard with some seating area outside, and where people can just make a public open space and just enjoy. I don't understand how on the location, on the first location, the aerial that's taken on Federal, there's 2 buildings that seem to be way less than 20 feet together. So I don't know why there's an issue now. I also don't think an email would count as a report from the fire department. I think that's just, I could send out an email until you can put it together. If it's an email, if it's an actual report, I think we would need to see that. But I wouldn't see why there would be an issue with the fire department in terms of that. And I also agree that, the daily wood is very important to keep since they don't make it anymore and it's actually a very high quality wood. So.
Okay,
location
good to go.
two.
Andrea?
So I'm in favor of location number 2 also. I think this has a good potential maybe for a museum to keep the identity of the Boynton Beach historical. So I think the other 2 are not as far from the location, and for example, like the number 1 is a green area for the neighbors, so I don't think it's a good idea. And the last one, the third one, I think it's more like a residential, right? So I don't think it's gonna be convenient. So I vote for number 2.
Okay, good, okay. You got something else?
If you wouldn't mind.
Good.
We're getting a little ahead of ourselves when we talk about potential use. But I think my personal view if I had to advise the city commission, would be something along the lines of a museum, or even possibly light commercial. I don't mind the idea of a coffee shop or light bakery. I personally would not want to see a full restaurant, as was the case for Magnuson. I think number one, you get tenants in there that are operating a business, a restaurant, and a lot of foot traffic. And I really don't think that type of business knows how to take care of a historic home.
Still in there, shop.
Okay,
So my view, if the city commission is listening, would be possibly a museum, light commercial, bakery, coffee shop, something to that order.
okay. Well, since this is a project that I've been working on for many, many, many years, and it's another historic building that I'm fighting to save, every time the city has done charrettes and sought public input, the public has come forward and said, we want to be a quaint fishing village. We want to have shops that we can stroll down Ocean Avenue and visit these shops and partake of things in these shops. And it's unfortunate that all of the advice that the residents have given to city leaders over the years have been basically ignored. On Saturday at the Highway Minority Exhibit, I sat at the table and spoke with people all day. I was amazed at how many people are paying attention to this. They're so close, we're so close, this is our last gasp at having a walkable Ocean Avenue. It's our last gasp to give the residents what they want, what they have been asking for decades. We did not ask for multi-story buildings. We voted for 4 stories, okay? And we don't vote for anything, okay? And we voted for 4 stories. And that got tossed out the window too. So if we have this opportunity to save this little house and put it down next to the existing historic house that we have and recreate a little bit of a historic district. it can never really be a historic district because you don't get to recreate those things. But it could be something that moms and dads, grandmas at the museum stroll down, they get a smoothie, an ice cream cone, a cookie. On the walls in the thing, we could have historic stuff. It doesn't have to be just a museum that you visit one time once a year and never come back. It could be something that people, you know, get out of karate class at the old high school, in ballet class. Where do they go? They get in their car and they take their wallet. Okay? Susan's point of get them to stick around town for a few more hours, we can get them to spend their money in town. And this is our last gasp at getting it. You'd be surprised how many people are paying attention. So anyways, is anybody out there ready to make a recommendation? I'm grateful for all of the recommendations from you guys and all of your comments, because they're sensible. Are you thinking? Okay. And we could do it by consensus, but I prefer to have a motion.
While we're doing that, I do have a question for staff. At the CRA meeting, who will be presenting tomorrow?
Will be Richard and then Planning and Development Director Amanda Radigan. Both will attend the meeting, I believe.
And is the mention of our recommendation going to be noted at the meeting?
This is not a voting item. This is actually other and presented by the city staff as FYI. So this is not really voting items. This is not.
Right. So we're not voting on it, but we're going to make a recommendation on it. So that's
you could, and then that could be delivered to tomorrow at the presentation. I'm gonna update the director, and then I'm not sure, but director may could, but will not. Again, this is not a voting item. This is just we staff here to provide updates. There will be further discussion about the Andrews House relocation. Still have to go through the CRA, and because of the location possibly include CRA property, still have to go through the city commission hearings, and then further discussion will be followed.
Jay, the recommendation from this board will emerge as a voting matter.
Sure. Then
go ahead. What do you think? Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna make this short and sweet. I'd like to make a motion to request the city commission choose location 2, adjacent to the Magnuson home along Ocean Avenue, to preserve the historic character of the downtown area.
Okay. You want to include anything that some of the public did about ownership of the building and stuff?
I was gonna do the 3, but we can do it all in
Okay,
one.
no, that's fine. We've got one motion. Any second to that?
Second.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Your next motion?
Motion to request the city commission change ownership to either city and or CRA.
I think they might need to pursue ownership. Can
Yeah,
we, are you okay with that?
that's fine.
I'll read it again for Kathy.
Sure. A motion to request the city commission pursue ownership of the Andrews home to control the city and or CRA.
Is there a second? Thank you, Robert. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Very good. You have a third one? Oh, good.
Motion to request the city commission move to repurpose the Andrews home for public use.
Anybody got a second for that one?
Second.
Thank you, Andrea. All in favor?
Question?
Any opposed? Oh, question? Yes, discussion?
I have a question and discussion. I was, when you say public use, that would include something like perhaps a welcome center, a museum, information listed in there, to public use, not a restaurant or a place where the rangers can come and, you know, sit down and change their boots or whatever, then go back in the field for the city. Public use is like where the public can actually come in and there's things for the public to interact with.
Correct. For me, it would, be for many purposes for public use. What I basically was looking at is not putting it for use for, only for city use. If that makes sense.
How about light commercial? Right now there is supposed to be a welcome center in City Hall. There's supposed to be a visitor center. Because they came and asked us to help man it, remember? Yeah. So, I'm not certain. I would assume the welcome desk that Jay sits at. Okay, so what's your motion? Public use? And light commercial?
Can we strike that as,
You want Valentina to still let her make one?
yeah, sure. Recommendation, repurpose public use.
I make a motion to repurpose the Andrews House, for a public use, where it falls under commercial use, in the zoning code. Yeah, I think that-
Light commercial?
It would just be a commercial use in the zoning code. So,
Okay. There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? No? Okay, all in
But
favor?
Barbara, I really want to have a clear that this is not a items for the votings, or this is just the city staff who came and provide a presentation as a FYI. Again, further discussions will be happening with the CRA, which is the city commissions are CRA members, and then further in the city commission meetings.
Yes, we do understand that.
Okay.
But as the board that cares the most about historic preservation in the city, we will be making a recommendation and urging the CRA/City Commission to go in one direction. And if it emerges as 3 motions of this board being in favor of position 2, saving it, that's what's gonna happen.
Totally understand it, but for the record, this is not a voting item. Just
Okay, well, we just voted on it, so hold my beer. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, very good. So, moving right along, next on the agenda is comments by board members. Anybody have any comments? I do want to tell everybody that the next Historical Society program, free program, is February 24th, 7 o'clock. The program topic will be the barefoot mailman and the murals of the post offices in Florida. So if anybody would like to get a Zoom invitation, please email me. Anybody else? Comments, questions? The program, the Historical Society is currently doing their programs via Zoom. But there is discussion of going back to meeting in public, which would be welcome. Anybody else? Comments, questions? We're good to go? Okay, if there are no objections, we will stand adjourned. Seeing no objections, we stand adjourned.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.